Thank you, Russell, and aloha, everybody.
Aloha.
We started off this morning at Lapahoihoi. We had a really great group of people there. Then we went to Honoka'a, another great group of people, and then now we're here in Puno. And I tell you, these visits, once again, reminds us the diversity of every single island. And I'm very glad to be here. Yesterday we were in Waimea and Kona, yet another group. So, you know, I feel really fortunate that I'm able to run for this seat because, let's face it, as Brian, Russell, and others have said, there is so much at stake in this election, and the priorities of the Democrats and Republicans are so clear. So clear. It's not as though the Republicans are saying, you know, trust us because we're going to be moderate and we'll take care of things. No, they come right out and say that we are going to take the country in a very different direction in terms of their priorities. And Steve, where are you? I really liked your energy. I had a chance to talk with some of the charter school students here. And they're very aware, they're articulate. I was talking with a senior who was very aware, for example, that the Republicans would cut education support, that they would cut Pell Grants. So you're obviously teaching the students here to be aware of the things that are going to affect their lives, not just now, but in the future. So it gave me great hope that you know, we're going to be able to make the right choices in Hawaii. But let me just tell you, I have sat in the U.S. House of Representatives now for the last 2 years under a Republican majority. And the battles that we have had, starting with the Ryan budget, Paul Ryan, who is now their Republican candidate for vice president, his budget would make sure that the richest 2% of the people in our country continue to get even more tax breaks while middle-class taxes will go up. His budget reflects a priority that says we are going to repeal Obamacare in spite of the fact that Obamacare is already helping millions of seniors throughout our country have lower prescription drug costs. Hundreds of thousands of young people throughout our country are benefiting from Obamacare by being able to stay on their parents' insurance policies. Not to mention, Obamacare also prohibits discriminating against women just because we're women. You know, in Hawaii, we have a great law called the prepaid health care law, which already does not allow these kinds of discriminatory actions on the part of insurance companies, but the rest of the country have to deal with discrimination on the basis of pre-existing conditions, gender, other issues. So they would repeal Obamacare. The Ryan budget repeals Obamacare. They also want to totally get rid of basically Medicare as we know it, and that's also going to hurt our seniors. They want to change it into a voucher system that will result in seniors on Medicare having to pay more. They also want to make sure that the oil companies who are making money hand over fist will continue to get approximately $4 billion of our taxpayer money every year. Why? Because the Republicans' priority is that we should continue our country's reliance on fossil fuels. They are doubling down on fossil fuel reliance at a time when our country, and particularly for Hawaii, should be heading toward alternatives and renewables. They will cut back. They will just slice support for alternatives and renewables. So this election is truly about the direction for our country. And sitting in the House of Representatives, where we, Democrats in the House, continue to fight against budgets like the Ryan budget, continue to fight against defunding Planned Parenthood, continue to want to focus on job creation because we're still in the worst economic crisis since the Great Depression, but we haven't been able to get to those kinds of critical issues because those are not the priorities of the Republican Party. Their priority is to make sure that this man, Barack Obama, does not get reelected, their priority is to make sure that the United States Senate becomes controlled by Republicans. And if that happens, with Linda Lingle's support. She is one of their #1 draft picks to win a Senate seat for the Republicans so that she can be one of the 4 votes they need to totally take control of the United States Senate. And with that would come Senator Inouye's loss of the most important committee in the House or Senate, I would say, the chairmanship of the Appropriations Committee. With that would come repeal of Obamacare. With that would come repeal of Wall Street reform so that we can get right back where we started when we got into this fiscal crisis in 2008. They will change Medicare to something unrecognizable and harmful to our seniors, and they will open the door to making changes to Social Security, which in the Republican scheme of things would be to privatize Social Security. Those are not our priorities. Our priorities are, let's make sure that we take care of our kupuna by keeping Social Security and Medicare strong. And there are ways that we can do that, and I've articulated them in the 5 debates that I've had with Linda Lingle. Count them, 5. That is more debates than any other U.S. Senate race in the country. So I've articulated some of the ways that we can save Social Security and Medicare, keep it strong for our seniors. The value of creating educational opportunities for our young people so that they can truly succeed in school and in life, starting with foundational quality early education, which I am a major advocate for. And then, as I mentioned, we're still in the worst economic crisis since the Great Depression. The value of enabling us to take care of ourselves and our families by creating jobs, which is one of the reasons that I support President Obama's jobs plan to create some 2 million jobs. And that particular bill has been blocked in the United States Senate by Republicans there for over a year. Trust me, this election is about the direction of our country. I hope you share that sense of urgency that we feel, and that Brian talked about, and all of us here, we say we need your help to get the votes out. It is about voter turnout. And many of you have probably already voted. But if you feel a sense of personal sense of urgency, as I do, I'd like to ask you to feel a personal responsibility to ask 1, 2, 3 people that you know. Pick up the phone, go to their houses, have coffee with them, and make sure that they vote. So I'm sure you're aware that there are voter suppression tactics going on all across the country. The worst thing that could happen to us is something that we do to ourselves by not going out to vote. Now, my campaign, the polls look good, but I'm taking nothing for granted. Because the minute you let down your guard, that's when bad things happen. And we want to make sure that the Senate remains in Democratic hands. We do not want the state of Hawaii, of all places, to send someone to the U.S. Senate that is going to help the Republicans take control and push their agenda, which is not our agenda. So in my race, I take nothing for granted. In the last 10 days of this election, the United States Chamber of Commerce that has already spent over $1.2 million to help Linda Lingle, first by trying to reform her image, because remember, when she left as governor, she wasn't so popular. Who can forget Furlough Fridays? Who can forget the Super Ferry fiasco? Who can forget the 2,000 immediate jobs that were lost when Aloha Airlines went under while she sat on her hands? And who can forget that, you know what, maybe some of you may not be aware, but when she left office, Hawaii was number 48 in the country in business friendliness, even when she said, when she first took office, Hawaii is open for business. So her record is very mixed. And the U.S. Chamber spent $1.2 million to try to get people to forget all that. And then just recently, they're putting down another $250,000 in Hawaii, and now they've gone negative. I'm sure some of you may have seen their very misleading, negative, wrong ad. Then there's another recent group. It's a shadowy super PAC that has put down $315,000 in ads for Linda Lingle in the last 10 days. So going forward in 10 days, there's going to be over $500,000 spent in the state of Hawaii to make sure that I don't get elected and their person, Linda Lingle, who is going to help the Republicans take control of the Senate, get elected. That is what they hope. And what's standing between their hope and us winning is us. So when President Clinton said at the National Democratic Convention, we believe that we are all in this together is a better philosophy than you're on your own. When he said those words, I thought, he's speaking to Hawaii. He's speaking about Hawaii because we understand what ohana is. And we may not agree with each other because what family totally agrees with each other all the time, but we know what's at stake. So I want to ask each and every one of you right now to make a personal commitment, to find 1 or 2 or 3 other people who will come out to vote, who will vote for President Obama, who will vote for me, thank you, who will vote for Tulsi, who, if any of you are calling people in Honolulu, who will vote for Colleen Hanabusa, because we will not be able to do it without you. I know who I fight for every single day. I'm fighting for that working family. I'm fighting for those seniors. I'm fighting for those veterans. I'm fighting for the young people. I'm fighting for those families who are just trying to make ends meet, because that is my life experience as an immigrant. So mahalo nui loa to each and every one of you. We are counting on you in the next 10 days to help us.